Peace, something we are all seeking and yearning for. Peace, something we were once indigenous to. Peace, something we have lost along our way. Our way to obtaining knowledge of self. The knowledge of our ancestors who were removed from their natural state. The knowledge of our people who refuse to be oppressed. In our journey, we lost our grip on peace. In a society of pressure, stress, and traumas, we have become comfortable with holding on to the burdens of fear and anxiety, family secrets buried in our DNA. Change within is our only way back to peace. Peace in our communities, peace in our families, peace within ourselves. A major change in our thinking, in our actions, in our existence is needed. A non-negotiable change. Welcome to the revolution with Sister Talibah.
This is an injustice.
Bismillah. Peace. Assalamu alaikum. How is everyone doing this evening? It is exactly 10:23 at night. And how is everyone enjoying their holiday vacation? When I say I'm relaxing, I am relaxing. I am in hibernation mode. Um, Please excuse any background noise that you hear because my boys are on their game, all four of them, and they're cutting up. So, anyways, you're going to hear some background noise from them. But I hope that everyone is enjoying their vacation. If you have a vacation for the holidays, um, and I hope that everyone is being safe and is resting. And so we are officially in the season of winter. Winter is a time of rest, stillness, silence, and, like I said, hibernation. However, due to the unnatural culture of Western society, we are programmed to grind and hustle. And in my opinion, this grind and hustle goes against nature, right? A lot of the animals are hibernating. And it just feels like, I mean, you notice like when uh, the days become shorter, it gets darker earlier. Excuse me, it gets dark earlier. It's like this natural inclination to rest, to sleep. And so I think that the change of the season affects all of us, the majority of us, in regards to being tired, fatigued, exhausted. And so I have a question for you. Have you ever wondered why there is an abundance of grief, self harm, and people that choose to self unaliven themselves during this time? Could it be that we are not in alignment with nature? Could it be that simple? Could it be that because it gets dark early, like I said, that it is our signal to rest earlier and for long periods of time? So for me, I'm going to just back up a little bit. I think it was last winter where I've noticed that I need to appreciate winter for what it is. I need to appreciate winter for what it is. instead of fighting against it. Now, I was born and raised in Michigan. Has I have never lived outside of Michigan. Born in the wintertime. However, I do not like the winter season. I don't like being cold. The snow is pretty. I don't like driving in it. So it came to me last winter that instead of fighting against the winter season, to really embrace it for what it is and to take advantage of it. So coming into this winter, I made a promise to myself, and this was actually in the fall season, that I was going to be in the house early, as much as I can. I was going to allow myself to hibernate. I was not going to fight against being tired, fight against not going to sleep. I was not going to fight against how I naturally feel. And so far, it's working for me. Like, I've been on vacation since last week, Tuesday afternoon. And when I tell you I have taken, I don't know how many naps, I mean that. So I'm taking full advantage of this vacation from work, and I am resting. I am not worried about anything. I am slowly doing household chores, slowly decluttering my house. Um, but that's for me. And I guess you could say that's really a part of self care also. So instead of fighting against winter, I'm embracing it and I'm learning to love it and to rest and to plan and to plot, write down my goals, all of that. And let me go on to say this because this what came to my mind. I was trying to avoid talking about the holidays in depth, but I'm going to touch on this. We all should know that the new year does not start in the middle of winter. The new year starts in March. Um, that should be common sense. Everything is dormant right now. So there's nothing new that is coming in the winter. So in March, that's spring, and everything comes out of dormant, right? So everything is blossoming, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, and that's how I'm looking at uh, this time, this holiday time. Um, I have not celebrated New Year's Eve in quite some time. I have not celebrated New Year's Day in quite some time, because it's really not the new year. So I do not plan on going into 2026 of January, um, talking about new goals and new promises and new commitments. No, I'll wait to do that come March. And that's just me. So, this is after years of being programmed and conditioned, to go along with what the so-called alleged powers that be, how they tell us what these holidays mean, etc. So I'll get into that deeper another time, but I had to say that. So, like, for the rest of the winter, I will be in hibernation mode. So, anyways, I wanted to come on and talk about hibernation, and more importantly, the importance of hibernation, um, because in our society, We are pushed and we are overworked and we are conditioned to grind and hustle nonstop, which causes burnout. And today's message is the burnout of not submitting to peace. How can you have peace when you are going against nature, when you are not in alignment to your natural environment? Again, we reside in a society that is unnatural. We reside in a society that tells us that what is evil is good and what is good is evil. I hope I said that correctly. So, and just to be transparent, I I knew that the closer we got to the holidays, and I felt this back in like November, that I was definitely in burnout mode. I've actually been feeling burnt out for the last couple of months. I would say even going back into the summertime, just due to a lot of excessive stress on my job. And I'm going to be very frank, going through racism, seeing colleagues being sexually harassed on the job, seeing the injustice of that. Um, all of that weighed on me mentally and emotionally. In addition to when I used to be active um, and paid attention to Flint politics, right? So when I was going to city council meetings, um, when I was focused on what was going on in the community, what different city council people were doing, different community members, all of that. Now that I have taken a step back from that chaos, you know, things have lightened up for me. Um, However, there is a big stress issue for me with my job, and one symptom of my burnout is that I felt it in my sinuses. I felt it specifically all around my eyes. I was just exhausted, 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 exhausted. And I'm talking about the type of exhausted when you no longer care about anything, when you become more liberated with sharing your opinions and you don't care about what anyone else think. You know, you forget your mannerisms in a sense, you forget your professionalism in a sense. um that's where, and you know, that's where I am at, and that may be another topic as well. um but yes, I just was tapped out, and tapped out from dealing with other people's problems, only to come home and you still have to deal with what you have going on in your personal life, or in my personal life I should say. So it's like the combination of all of that. I didn't have the energy to to take care of specific business that I still need to take care of. It's like you don't feel like mailing out anything. You don't feel like faxing anything. You don't feel like emailing anyone. You don't feel like talking to anyone. You don't want to return text messages. None of that. That is how bad my burnout was. I was not cooking. Um, my husband and children took care of that. I don't feel guilty about it. When I am tapped out, that's it. I have nothing left to give. I have nothing left to offer anyone. And there was a time where I would probably feel guilty about that, but not today. No, no more feeling guilty. Um, that was another promise I made to myself, that when I feel a certain way, I'm going to acknowledge it to myself first, and I'm not going to hide it. No, I am not going to be that strong black woman. Y'all can have that title, y'all can have that task, that unrealistic task. I'm giving it back to whoever invented that. Y'all can have that. No, I need my rest and I'm going to take my rest. Period. So thank y'all for allowing me to rant. But that is where I'm at. And I will say that the sleep that I have been catching up on and submitting to is, I feel really good. I don't feel that burnout heaviness anymore. Um, I'm also grateful that I don't celebrate Christmas. Um, and don't get offended if you do celebrate Christmas. Obviously, I don't celebrate it for religious reasons. But let me just share something as a social worker. I really do not like the holiday time, like from between Thanksgiving. I don't celebrate Thanksgiving either, but Thanksgiving and Christmas, because of the um, expectations, society's expectations of the capitalism, of the consumerism. Um, you have to have this big dinner. You have to spend money and cook this big dinner. That's what expected of you on Thanksgiving. And then that Friday, that very next day, all of these so-called good deals on merchandise for Christmas. The stress of that, on people that are impoverished, people that are barely making it week to week, paycheck to paycheck. From that standpoint, from the social work standpoint, and from a human standpoint, I do not like those two holidays. So I'm grateful that I did not have that added stress. I didn't have to worry about cooking for Thanksgiving, and I did not have to worry about purchasing overpriced um, toys, electronics, clothes for my children. So I didn't have that stress, but I really do feel bad and saddened by those that are still in that mindset, that feel obligated to provide a Thanksgiving and a Christmas for their children. And I'm talking about families that are residing in motel rooms, families that are living with their relatives. And as I'm saying this, as I'm speaking this to you all, I am literally thinking of real people that I am currently working with that are on my caseload, clients that are displaced because housing has become too expensive, or the specific housing that they were residing in became too violent, and they were shot and barely lived, almost lost their lives, and they're displaced with relatives. Alhamdulillah, they have somewhere to go, but they're worried about providing a Christmas, providing toys. So I just think about all of that, and the stress of that, the stress of signing up with community agencies to get these resources, and you have to provide all of this documentation, to get the resources for your children, to get the clothes, to get the toys, to get the whatever, you know what I mean, for that holiday. I mean, if it's really about the season of giving, if it's really about Jesus' birthday, peace be upon him, why do you have to go through all of this, in my opinion, unnecessary stuff to provide to provide a Christmas for your children. Y'all, I'm over it. And I apologize. I may sound like I'm being negative. Yeah, I am. I'm being honest too. It's just burnout. It's just absolute burnout. And I don't mean any harm to anyone that actually, see Christmas in a religious and spiritual aspect or light. It's just the mockery of it for me. And that's what I think it is. I think it is mockery. And it's just shameful how this society puts this amount of stress on its people. And so this is it. This is burnout. Everything I described is a burnout. So for me personally, I'm burnt out on a lot of different ways, um, the empathy and the sympathy that you invest into the people that you are helping. And that's for all of us. When we go outside of our homes, we all see who needs help. I mean, uh, the Color of Law Coalition, they do good work. Those women do good work, and they are diligent. They're consistent with going out and making sure that the homeless have food, that the homeless have the necessities, the personal necessities and resources. So you can really burn yourself out when you invest yourself into someone else's downfall. And I'm going to even say someone else's hell, someone else's struggle. Your heart leads you to do the work if you're sincere. However, after so long, you begin to see the system of injustice. You begin to recognize that this welfare system, that this government is laughable. It's a setup, it's propaganda. Y'all, I did not know I was going to come on here talking like this. I am literally flowing right now. I'm just venting also, and I hope you don't mind, um, because I'm laying out an issue that I feel that we all deal with, or the majority of us deal with, um, regardless of what profession that we're in, but just as a citizen in this society, and just as a human being in this society, we see it. You know what I mean? We see the homelessness, we see the housing issues, we see the grocery issues, we see the economic issues, we see the crime, we see the grief, we see the depression, we see all of that. And it's like, man, so I'm grateful for this vacation. And I hope, my prayer is that whoever chooses to listen to me tonight and whoever chooses to listen to the replay, I pray that you take away something beneficial for yourself. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just get right into the PowerPoint. And thank y'all for listening. Okay, the burnout of not submitting to peace. Let me put on my glasses. And so, again, let me apologize. Y'all gonna hear my boys in the background. They are very loud, but you know what? Good for them. They're enjoying themselves, so I'm not mad at it. Okay, let's go to the next slide. And this burnout. I said it was going to be several parts to me talking about burnout, and I think I'm a come back and talk about another aspect of it, like in our relationships, in our business relationships, etc. Um, I may even come back and go deeper into the holiday aspect of burnout. Um, but tonight's portion is about, us evaluating what burnout is. So, burnout is a form of exhaustion caused by constantly feeling overwhelmed with stress. And it occurs when we experience too much emotional, physical, and mental fatigue for too long. And the most common form of burnout is being overworked. So I definitely started off talking about my job, right? When I talked about my burnout. Burnout encompasses emotional exhaustion, physical exhaustion, and cognitive exhaustion. There are four types of burnout. Now, this is something that I did not know when I was putting this PowerPoint together. So, the four types of burnout are called overload burnout, under challenge burnout, neglect burnout, and habitual burnout. The overload burnout is when we feel the pressure to work harder. And this pressure leads to us feeling frantic to accomplish success. So I definitely feel this on my job when I know that there are clients that we're not getting to, and we got to get through our current caseload. Um, and I'm falling behind, I definitely feel the pressure to catch up. However, I it's important for me to not do a sloppy job. Quality over quantity. But in a world where the need is so great, sometimes you can't do the quality that you want to do with working with other people and helping other people. Under challenge burnout, your employment is not in alignment with your soul's purpose. I'm going to say that again. Under challenge burnout is when your employment, your current employment situation, is not in alignment with your soul's purpose. It occurs when you are working in an environment that does not challenge you nor appreciate you. You become bored with the same work routine and tasks, and you may distance yourself and avoid responsibilities. I have definitely felt this way, and actually, that is a current state of mind for me. I know that for myself, I'm going to just say, I know that my soul's purpose is revolutionary. The work that I'm supposed to do is involving major change. And it's hard to be your full, authentic self when the person that you are working for has limits and has boundaries on how hard you can go to get what you need to get for your clients, if that makes sense. I want to go harder. I want to go past what they telling me to stop. I want to go past the stop sign. I want to challenge this organization, that organization. I want to challenge this person, this policymaker. I don't believe in uh, not having enough funding. I don't believe in that. This earth is abundant. There's no such thing as a lack. Lack is man made. That's some BS. That's misinformation. That's false information. That's propaganda. There's no such thing as a lack. So you cannot come and tell me that this resource is temporarily unavailable because there's no more funding for it. Nope, that's a lie, because anytime you want to go invade in another country, anytime you want to go exploit another people, all y'all do is go and print out that paper money and y'all make it happen. It's always plenty of money for the evil, but not for the good. So that's where I'm at in my life, y'all. Neglect burnout. This is also known as imposter syndrome. You begin to feel helpless and incompetent. Your confidence plummets, and you begin to doubt your talents, capabilities, and accomplishments. Again, some more transparency from me. I've definitely felt like this. I began to question myself as a social worker because I recognized that I was being overlooked. I am the only social worker at my job with a master's degree. I am also the only Black woman and Muslim at my job. And all these white people around me are just moving on up. What is it about me? I was like, seriously, it bothered me so much. If you truly know me, you know that I was vocal about it to HR. I documented it, and I did raise hell about it, and I don't apologize for it. Um, you always supposed to advocate for yourself. But I mean, what they tell you is never really justifiable, right? They just get scared that you notice it. But I had a colleague tell me, she said, Allison, that's a compliment to you that they don't want you at this level because of what they're doing at that level. That was a compliment. I thanked her. That was a compliment for me because one thing that my colleagues and my management know at my job, I'm not going along to get along. If it's wrong, it's wrong. I'm going to call it out. If it's right, it's right. I'm going to call it out. Point blank, period. That's how I get down. Okay. Last type of burnout, habitual burnout, the more serious form of burnout. It is the physical and mental exhaustion, and it's chronic. And these symptoms often lead to depression and thoughts of self harm. So I am not at that point, and I doubt that I will get to that point. But I have definitely am feeling overload, under challenge, and neglect. And I encourage you all, if you are feeling burnout, evaluate yourself. Which one of these can you relate to? I also found out that there are 12 stages of burnout. There's an urgent need to prove yourself, to work harder, to neglect your own needs. You begin to face more interpersonal conflicts. Your values begin to change. You may experience denial, being in denial, or even withdrawing from certain situations. And this withdrawal may drive someone to self medicate with alcohol or illegal substances. Behavioral changes can happen, losing yourself, feeling empty, feeling a sense of despair, and then feeling just total burnout, which can cause hospitalization. I think that, well, I know that, let me back up. I know that I have definitely felt and experienced quite a few of these. And what really alarmed me in my situation is that I no longer cared. You know how you put on that professionalism, we're conditioned to always be professional even when we're disrespected, right? While we're on the clock. That wasn't happening. I didn't care Who knew how I felt? I say what I want to say and I keep it pushing. And honestly, I told HR. I had a one-on-one with HR and I said, "Look, I'm at this point where I just do not care." And think about this, y'all. These people overwork us and sometimes they don't do right by us. Some of us have good employers. My employer is not all bad. You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely, when I compare the benefits to other places, it's definitely, you know, I'm in a place where others may wish they were. But it's when you go deep enough and go down a rabbit hole and you see injustice, right? And but at all work in all work environments, we are all replaceable. We can die at lunchtime, and by the end of that lunch hour, they'll have somebody replacing you. You see what I mean? And we just live in this unnatural society where we are pushed to go, 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 go. Even look at how this society treats mothers, pregnant women. I think the most that you can go on maternity leave is for 12 weeks. Really, it's 6 to 12 weeks. I think at good jobs, you get paid for the first 6 weeks. And if you choose to go up to 12 weeks, the remainder of those 6 weeks are unpaid unless you had a C-section. Correct me if I'm wrong. But you only have a good 6 weeks to spend with your newborn baby. And then this society tells us to enroll our babies, our infants, who cannot fend for themselves, into a stranger's care. This is the type of society that we're living in. A society where it seems like almost everyone has a story of being molested. But yet, we are told, we are conditioned to give our babies to a stranger so a stranger can raise them. And childcare is expensive. It'll take half your paycheck. And that causes more stress. And let me just say this, especially for the nursing mothers, when you are under stress, it's hard to pump out milk. Your body produces less milk for your baby. So now you got to get up early, drop off the baby at childcare, go to work, make sure you pump throughout the day so you won't lose your milk production. Pick up the baby, go home, cook, do whatever it is you got to do. This society is backwards. It is unnatural. It is unnatural. It is unnatural. And on top of that, on top of the expectations of working, do y'all remember the 3 types of trauma that I used to always talk about? This was back when my show, The Revolution, was on A10 News Media Group platform. Every show, I made a point to remind the audience of the 3 types of trauma that we experience in our lives. Acute trauma, which refers to a single traumatic incident that happens in our lives. Chronic trauma, which typically results from prolonged and ongoing abuse. and complex trauma, which refers to experiencing chronic trauma with long term emotional and physical symptoms. So, in addition to being burnt out, being overworked, we're also dealing with personal trauma, not to mention trauma that can happen in our work environment. Just keep that in mind, y'all. We are overstimulated in this society, and it is unnatural. Unnatural. So, now let's talk about some solutions. Y'all know when I present an issue, when I present a problem, I like to also present solutions, potential solutions. And the reminder that is on the screen, and you probably can't see it good because of the affirmation that I have up there, but I use the verse out of the Quran as a reminder that surely with hardship comes ease. Ease always follows hardship. Always follows hardship. Sometimes it may not seem like it, but it does. And we have to be patient for it. But this is just to give you hope that ease will come. And that is in the Quran, chapter 94, verse 5. And in my opinion, ease is the same as peace. Think about a hardship that you face, ongoing, financial struggles, whatever, a struggle with your children, and then ease came. And what did you feel? You felt peace. You felt serenity. You felt calmness. Your nervous system felt balanced. You didn't have an anxiety. You didn't have depression. You wasn't nervous. You wasn't shaken. You wasn't angry. When you are in a state of ease, you are in a state of peace. And so, again, for me, I made a decision to move forward in this season to rest. Instead of complaining about how I hate the cold weather, how I hate this, I dislike that, and not looking forward to it, I embrace winter. I embrace this season. And I made a promise to myself that this season is going to be peaceful for me. And as I'm talking to you all, I feel the peace. I am resting. I am literally moving slow. I'm not rushing to do a doggone thing. Okay? My phone is on silent. My text messages, the notifications are turned off. So I'll see your text message when I see it. I'm telling people no. And I'm encouraging you to tell people no. And when you say no, please don't feel obligated to follow it up with the explanation. No, because I said no. Okay? You don't have to explain anything to anyone. No, I can't do that for you. I'm not available. I can't do it. And as much as I can, I avoid the news. I don't watch the local news, but I do see news clippings in social media, right? So I can't fully get away from it, but I don't run to the news. I don't sit up and watch the news because everyone should know that the news, that is propaganda, and that is to put you in a consistent state of fear. And when you are in a consistent state of fear, You are literally vibrating low, at a low frequency. And when you are at a low frequency, you cannot, how I'm going to say, you can't focus on your greatness. You can't be great when you're thinking and feeling at a low gutter state. I hope that makes sense. So I am encouraging everyone to embrace peace, embrace getting rest, don't feel guilty, move slowly. Let me tell y'all, when I went to Morocco, was it last year during Ramadan? I went to Morocco, and we went, one of the places that we visit was the Sahara Desert. Yep, the Sahara Desert. And it was a tent community, right? And um, they moved slow there. They had prepared dinner for us, iftar. It was during Ramadan. So they had this big dinner, and they encourage you to take your time and eat slow. So that night, we only spent one night in the desert. That night, a sandstorm came, and it lasted all the way until we left. It was still going on. But the sandstorm was so loud, and my tent, the door flew open, and I could not keep it shut. And it kept hitting against a pole or whatever it was. So I literally stayed up the entire night, and I finally fell asleep at 7 o'clock in the morning. And we had to get up at 8. So needless to say, I was late moving around. And they had breakfast. We had to go to the meal tent to eat breakfast. Our ride came to get us, to drive us out of the desert and back up to the Atlas Mountains, to prepare, because the next day was Eid al Fitr. So it was going to be the celebration of the end of Ramadan. So we had, it was, and that was, I think that was like a 5 hour, 7 hour drive to get into the mountains to the village where we would be staying in. So I was behind. And when I finally got to the mill tent, the brother told me, he said, he saw me rushing, but he said, no, that's not good. He said, sit down and eat. When you go outside of this society and experience other countries, you will definitely see and definitely learn that the US is unnatural. It just is. Y'all gonna get tired of me saying it. It is an unnatural society. You out, man, that was the best experience I had. And when the brother told me, like, when I say best experience, that traveling outside of the US, Morocco is a beautiful country. The people, beautiful. Driving in Morocco, I must say, can be like a near death experience. They do not follow any rules. What, how they drive over there in the US would be considered road rage and could possibly get somebody killed. And I'm not over exaggerating. And I'm talking about from driving on the public streets in a city, as well as driving in the villages where you're going up the side of a mountain where only one car can pass. It's not a two-lane on the mountain in the rural parts. So you literally one car has to stop and scoot all the way over, and sometimes they have to get out the car to help you maneuver around so you won't drive off the cliff and down the mountain. So when I tell you that the peace that I experienced in Morocco, and how what was it? I spent 8 or 9 days in Morocco. It was quick for me to adjust. It was quick for me to adjust to their way, that when I came back to the US, I was in shock. It was a culture shock for me. It was literally a culture shock. So it was just coming back to a different world. And I remember, um, I had took a few more days off of work when I came back to the US. So I didn't have to worry about like getting up in the morning and going into work. I needed, I took a few days to adjust. But child, when I tell y'all that when I got up that morning and I looked, I looked at my husband and I said, I don't know what to do. What am I supposed to pack for work? I was literally lost. He thought I was crazy. I remember driving downtown Flint, and when I pulled up to my job, I literally burst into tears because I said, this is not living. The rush, just the rush of it, the grind, the hustle. It took me a while to adjust being back in the US. And that was only after visiting another country for 8 or 9 days. I'm telling y'all, don't believe the hype about other countries. Um, that term, what do you call that? Third world countries. Um, Other countries are, they talk like a derogatory about them. You know what I mean? I don't want to say the word that comes to mind because it's a profane word, but it's a lot of stereotypes, a lot of stereotypes. And the best thing that you could do for yourself and for your sanity and for your consciousness and for your health is to go visit other, just go outside of this country, get away from this stress, get away from it. And that's not to say other countries don't have their own stress, but it's something about so-called living in an alleged first world country. The audacity to call yourself a first world country when you have piss poor morals. Piss poor morals. But don't get me started, y'all. A lot of the things that I've been saying, I just been shooting off at the mouth. I didn't even know I was going to say. Okay, let me continue. I'm at the end. Other solutions. Go into nature. Of course, I'm going to say meditate. I always say meditate. Sit in silence. If you believe in God, then please connect with God. Connect with your higher self. Say your affirmations. I always say sit with yourself because you know what? Your heart and your mind will tell you exactly what you need to do. Just go sit in silence. Turn off the TV, turn off the radio, put your phone up, and just sit with your thoughts and ask yourself, ask God, how do I accomplish peace in my life? What do I need to do to obtain peace? How do I de-stress myself? What do I need to do? Ask yourself this. Don't call your girlfriend, don't call your friend, don't call your boyfriend, don't call somebody else to vent to. If you really want peace in your life, go sit in silence and the answers will come to you. I put up on the screen an affirmation, and it was something that came to my mind, and so I put it up there. If it doesn't resonate with you, flip it around, change it. If it does, good. If it does resonate with you, good. Use it. I am the peace I need in my life. I have the peace I need in my life. Keep saying it. Believe it. Know it. Trust in it. The state of peace is a natural state. It's a balanced state. And so, as you can see, I do have, and I hope it makes sense how I did it. I have some mental and emotional support numbers for you to contact if you are feeling so overwhelmed that maybe you feel like you need to talk to someone professionally, like you need professional help, or you may even feel like you want to harm yourself or harm someone else. Um, if you are in the Flint area, if you are in Genesee County, Michigan, for emergency urgent services, call Genesee Health System or GHS as we call it, Behavioral Urgent Care. If you would like to set up counseling, then Monday through Friday during business hours, you would call Genesee Health System GHS at a different number. And they would do an intake with you. And then, proceed to get you the help that you are in need of. For those of you that are not in this community, call the Crisis Lifeline. You simply dial 988. There's nothing wrong with reaching out and getting support, professional support. So, I did a lot of venting, I did a lot of ranting, I did a lot of sharing. And I hope and pray that all of what I said was beneficial for you. For someone out there, even if it's only one of you, I pray that it is received well. I do plan on coming on this week and talking about other aspects of burnout, just not, in the work environment, but in our personal lives, in relationships, in friendships, all of that. So I would like to address that as well, because this is a part of our mental health. This is a part of our emotional health and even our spiritual health. So I hope that you all receive this well, and I pray that everyone will stay safe and will stay warm and will be in a high space of faith, good thoughts, all of that, all of the good stuff. That's what I'm praying for everyone that is listening to my voice. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in to the replay. And if anyone needs to reach out to me, please message me on Messenger on Facebook. I love you all. May you all have a good evening. Peace.
To hell with those damn willow trees. We don't give a damn about them willow trees. We need clean water, a public safety plan.